अरे आ जाएंगे मेरी माँ, इतने कोई आते हैं किसी भी अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर होता है। हाँ पहले मैंने भेज दिया, तेरे को फोटो भेजी ना यार। तो मेरे पास सुना है तो कई बार अनपढ़ वाली बातें क्यों करती है, मेरे को नहीं पता। जब सारे अभी जब उसके अकाउंट ऐड नहीं हो रहा तो मैं क्या करूँ? तो भाई लोग मुसलमान की माँ बहने करूँगा जिंदगी जिंदगी। जब मैंने बोला मैंने तेरा बेनिफिट अकाउंट नहीं ऐड हो रहा, फिर क्यों फालतू बोल रहा है? वो बात मत कर। जब मैंने उसको मेरी से बात क्लियर हो गई थी, मैं तेरा अकाउंट और बेनिफिशियरी अकाउंट में ऐड नहीं हो रहा, पकाओ। क्या हो रहा है? जब तेरे जीवन में क्लियरली बोल दिया था बेटा उसी डिबेट का ऐड नहीं हो रहा, तो क्या करना है? हाँ यार इसको बोल दियो चेक कर लेगा शाम तक पहुंच जाएंगे अकाउंट में आगे। यार पता क्या होता है, कई ना सिस्टम वगैरह एकदम सेट नहीं करता, कुछ बैंकों से तो जल्दी आ जाता है। अगर मैं अपने मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कुछ बैंकों में ना एकदम लिंक्स होते हैं अच्छे, तो उनसे एकदम चले जाते हैं पैसे, मतलब कि विद इन 15 to 20 मिनट्स के अंदर चले जाते हैं। सर 3 नंबर में लैपटॉप दे दो वो ठीक है, और एकदम साथ में चले जाते हैं और कुछ में नहीं जाते उसमें। हम मेरे अकाउंट में जैसे प्राइवेट बैंक है मेरा, उसका उसका एसबीआई का सरकारी बैंक है, तो उसमें थोड़ा डिफरेंस होता है। अगर पंजाब नेशनल बैंक में मैं ट्रांसफर करता हूँ उसमें थोड़ा लेट आते हैं। अगर मान ले मैं अपना एचडीएफसी में या किसी तेरे बैंक में डालूंगा, यूको बैंक में भी, तो तो जल्दी आ जाएंगे विद इन आधे घंटे के अंदर। ठीक है। हाँ इसलिए चल देखिए मैं बाद में काम करके बात करता हूँ। हाँ तो चेक कर दिया 10 मिनट बाद। अगर मैं सुन मेरे को 10 बजे पहले फोन मत कर दिया। कहाँ केले वगैरह पड़े खराब हो जाएंगे, कौन पैसे देगा उसके? दूध का पैकेट तो खराब कर दिया तूने। नहीं कोई और आके दे रहा है पैसे। हाँ पेड़ पे लग रहा है पैसे तो जानते ही।
कुछ दे के आया था तो उसको
किसको?
वही जो कैमरा लेके गया
अभी यहाँ पे क्या हुआ?
12
तो
can't go in front of the camera. It's live telecast.
No, it's not. It's switched off.
Yeah, I can show you on YouTube. It's fine, right?
What's the problem?
It's still on? Yeah. It's all activated. I don't know.
You don't need this.
You need bone coated Ananya? I also need to practice. I'll do like 10 minutes. वहाँ पे गर्म पानी रखो उधर रखो अपने पास चलो keep a bottle of water यहाँ पे रख लो Ananya, I don't plan to stay in the room unless there are movements because you will get disturbed.
I won't. As long as I don't have someone telling me.
Like Papa wants. Be free.
That wasn't for me, huh?
Is this thing live?
That's what you said on YouTube. Excuse me. This is for your session?
नहीं सर स्पीकर आगे रहिए आई नो स्पीकर को मैंने देखा यही वाला है.
Can you put on the next slide जो मैंने आपको बोला? Photograph is not being put. It's sending. Ananya Kapoor.
अभी तो स्टार्ट हो गया.
हाँ बहुत जरूरी है प्लीज हमने भेजा हुआ है. Can you call if she has a photograph?
ये अनन्या कपूर का ना वो बायो पिक आई हुई. चले ये क्या कहते हैं आलोक तुम निकिता लो बोलो 350 का सेशन है पिक लगनी जरूरी है.
हमारे पास है ना उसकी अन्य का कुछ
मेरे पास है मैं दे दूँ.
बायो वगैरह है सब.
हाँ हाँ सारा कुछ.
अब आपके पास आते मुझे बता देना.
Better laptop लो. आप सेटअप कर सकते हैं हमारा लैपटॉप. अभी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन हो रहा है. हमारे स्पीकर आ गए. 330 के स्पीकर हैं. ये बस कम ही था. हाँ मेरा लैपटॉप. अभी लाइब्रेरी का स्पीकर नहीं आया. लाइब्रेरी का स्पीकर नहीं आया. तो गा रहे हैं ना. आप रिकॉर्ड करेंगे. लाइव हो रहा है क्या? लाइव कैसे आती है? फेसबुक पे लाइव कैसे होता है? वेब रिकॉर्डिंग हमेशा देखेगी ना. लाइव देख.
चल तो रहा है.
नहीं आया. पता नहीं क्या आ गया. पहले का मेरा कोई स्क्रीन था वो आ गया. जो करंट स्क्रीन है वो आ गया. Maybe with one or two laptops, maybe take it.
हाँ that is teacher was less high हाँ high
क्या मतलब हाई थी बोल
हाँ इसकी
So what's going on? I was supposed to speak at 2:30. This has been the most unorganized conference. I go to conferences all over the world. I travel the world to speak, and this has by far been the worst conference I have ever attended. It is absolutely ridiculous. I was supposed to speak at 12:30, and then I got here and it was 2:30, so I had to change all of my plans. I had plans this afternoon, and I had to check out my hotel, and then I'm now this, and I came halfway across the world for this. I'm going to definitely give Dr. Harvey my opinions.
What are you speaking about?
The masterpiece message, how to transform your business and your life is a message.
Anna, pen drive दे देना बेटा. तो लैपटॉप में कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही है स्क्रीन पर. My name is Shalini. Where are you from? हाँ. And are you like what you do? Hello. नहीं यार नीचे कोई नहीं है. आरती है. My daughter is teacher. Today selection. They paid for your expenses.
So no, I paid for my own expenses.
You repay.
I mean, I did my flights and yeah, I paid for my flights in the hotel. So yes.
I was curious. Sorry.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. So. USA. Yeah. So, are we ready?
Are you going to touch upon as individuals as well? What can we do?
Absolutely. I'm going to, I'm actually just going to talk to you guys, so.
What is the topic?
I love the topic.
So that if people who are interested will come. So what is the topic?
Yeah, the topic is how to create a masterpiece message for
This
your.
is the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just putting it in the groups.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to use a microphone. I don't need
No,
one.
you don't.
Thank you. Good.
It would be nice if you don't use.
Oh, I need it for that?
Recording,
Got
yeah,
it.
use
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I will just only for that.
Because it's going to go on YouTube.
Oh, well, okay.
Yes.
It's a live stream.
Hello. Hi, welcome everyone. I'm honored to be here. I've come halfway across the country or the world to be here, and I finally feel good today. I actually got the deli belly, what they call that, but I got it before I got the deli. So I was in Hardawar and decided to do a ceremony in the Ganges and ate some street food, and within about 5 or 6 hours was deathly ill and spent the last 6 days here, not feeling so well. But today I woke up after seeing an Ayurvedic doctor and I feel fantastic. So I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about my life's journey and story, and how, whether you're creating a business or whether it's just something you want to learn how to share your message with other people, I believe that sharing our message and our story is one of the most powerful things that we can do to create transformation in this world. And I believe that we are here on a conscious revolution. I believe that we're here to change the way that the world works, and the way that we do that is through conversation, is through telling our own stories and showing other people how we've transformed our own lives and how they can do that also. And so whether you turn it into a business like I have, or whether you just share it in your community or with a friend or anything else, when you take your life, which is your masterpiece, and turn it into a message, it's going to change everything for you. Is there a way to change some of the slides? You can. Okay. So if you could just go to that. And so I want to know, how many of you believe in magic? Yes, I believe in magic. And so by the end of today, you're going to believe in magic too, because my formula for magic and miracles is what we see every day. It is something that exists, that we have given up, that we've not thought about or left behind. And there's magic in the trees that are outside. There's magic in waking up in the morning and having an experience. And it took me a long time to believe in magic, or to believe that I can have that in my life. But I'm going to give you a 5-step process to creating a masterpiece, and what that is with your magic. And I work with entrepreneurs all over the world. I worked with women before that, and I say that the love leaders are the voice of the next generation. And so my tribe that I have found are what I call love leaders, and they're thought leaders in their community. They're thought leaders in the world, but it's all about love. I have love tattooed on my body. I have a daughter whose middle name is Love. She's in college right now, taking her finals. And I believe that if we come from a place of love and transformation, that we're going to heal the world. So, how many of you have started a project or done something and then quit? Yeah. Can you tell me what was the reason for why you stopped?
Boredom. Doesn't feel like you're going to succeed. You just lose interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen all over the world with the thousands of entrepreneurs and women that I have worked with, I see this stopping and this starting. And especially in the entrepreneur world, where 85% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years, and of those 15% that make it, only 85% of them fail within the first 10 years. I see that one of the challenges or the key is one staying either what you call motivated or interested, or are getting to a place where you feel like there's a plateau, and you're like, how do you break through the plateau? How do you get to that next level? What is the thing where, I work with clients and they're making 6, 7 figures, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do anymore, and I don't feel like I have this passion, or there's something, and then I work with these women and these entrepreneurs that they try all these different things, and then finally I give up and I walk away. And I believe that every place that you're at, if you quit today, how do you not know if tomorrow is the day that your dreams come true? How do you know that if you stop, that you haven't already gotten past the tipping point? There is a tipping point, a 50% mark that you get to, that when you don't even know, it's in the background, it's not even there, that when you surpass it, that you automatically, things will happen in your life. And that's the magic. Like, it's already happening there. But the thing is that so many people stop 3 feet from gold. Has anybody ever heard the story of 3 feet from gold? Okay, so in America, there was a gold rush, and there's this gentleman, and he bought this land out west, and for 15 years he mined for gold, he mined for gold, and he mined for gold. And he was like, he got tired after 15 years. He's like, I can't find any freaking gold. I'm kind of done. I'm over it. And so he sold the place. He sold it. He said, okay, 15 years, I'm done. He had already reached the 50% tipping point. He just didn't know it. The person that bought the property literally found gold 3 feet later, mining 3 feet later. So what if you're 3 feet from your gold? What if you're 3 feet from the life of your dreams, the career of your dreams, the business of your dreams, that whatever it is, but you don't see it because you're blind. You're standing in the forest and you can't see the forest through the trees. All you see are trees, and you don't even know that you have made the gold and that you've created that. So I want to show you how keeping persistent and moving through is one of the biggest things that you can ever do. One of the things that I'm really, really passionate about, and when I talk about magic and creating a message, so part of what I work with is human trafficking and trauma. And so these are some of the statistics of what's going on in the world today when we talk about things that are not coming from love. When you say 700 million women alive today were married as children, or that there's genital mutilation that's going on, we have trafficking. And so when you're creating a message, when you have a masterpiece that comes with your life, it is not only about you transforming and changing yourself or somebody else in your community, but how does this impact us on a global scale? I truly believe that we have an opportunity here to really make a huge difference for each other and make changes. And so my own story and the reason that I do the work that I do comes from my own trauma and my own life, and that's where I teach about the masterpiece message and how to take your masterpiece and turn it into some of those different things. So I don't know, it's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize. I don't want to. Oh, yeah, please. Go ahead again. So a little bit about me so that you kind of understand what I've done and where I've been, so you can see why do I have the ability to talk about a masterpiece message and what have I created in the last few years. So in 2009, I was homeless. I lost everything that was important to me, I call it the big breakthrough before the breakdown. And so in the last 8 years, I've created an international organization where I do give back in the place of human trafficking, but I've worked with thousands of mainly female entrepreneurs, but some male entrepreneurs, and teaching them how to speak on stages, how to create transformational work and build their businesses. And now I have a second company called the Intuitive Intelligence Academy, and we've created a process called Intuitive Intelligence that works with trauma healing. And organizations in the United States, such as the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, have hired me and brought me in as a teacher and a lecturer to teach these processes of both masterpiece message and intuitive intelligence to them. I have, and being here in India, some of these people aren't going to make any sense to you guys, but actors like Mark Ruffalo and Lewis House, who is a big-time entrepreneur in the United States, and Dr. John DeMartini. How many of you have heard of the movie The Secret? I know that one's right. Yeah, so Dr. John DeMartini and I have done events together. So I've traveled the world and spoke at and done events with some of the most amazing people we've collaborated in creating, and they're the ones that taught me that if you don't have a masterpiece, if you don't have a message that's so powerful that people will come to you in droves, then you can't stand out from the crowd, and you can't make a change for other people in your life. So I'm going to go into and talk about the 5-step process that I think is really important in how to create a masterpiece. And this is something that whether you want to do it for a business or whether you want to just create some change in your life, I think it's really important and powerful. So we're going to move through a couple, because I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff. Keep going. These are all just stuff from my events and different things and fun, but I'm not going to talk about all this today. Okay, I'll start here. So imagine that you had 1 minute. So it's you're on your deathbed, and you have 1 minute. You have one thing that you want to share with the world, that you want to leave behind as something that you could say. How many of you know what you would want to say? Yeah, can you share with me?
Okay, sure. I would like to say that everyone's problems are relative. And that's just basically what I think everyone should understand. Because many times if you're having a really big problem, some people like to say that, but look at those people in the world, and look at how much they're suffering, and look at how much those people are suffering. But I would like to say at the end of the day, what bothers you the most, it can really change the way you think. It could be something really small for someone, and for someone else, it could be something that they just take for granted. But I think everyone's problems are relative, and we should just appreciate that.
Thank you for that. I completely agree. I actually talk about how the event is neutral and it's your response that creates the outcome in your life. And so I agree with you. I like that. Problems are relative. They definitely are. Yes.
I would like to tell everyone to express what they feel in the moment. Don't just keep it with you, because you never know when you'll have the chance to ever express it. Yeah. So if you feel something, say it. Yeah. Just say it, get it out of your system.
I agree. I was at a Tony Robbins event recently. I took a bunch of clients to meet Tony Robbins, and when Tony was talking about the fact that right after 9/11, or during 9/11, had an event going on in Hawaii, and this woman walks in and she's bawling. And the day before, she had left her. She had flown in to Hawaii, and her boyfriend that she had been seeing. She said, he says, if you leave, we're done. I don't want you to go. And she's like, I don't want to be with you. I'm gone. And so that day, the day before she had gotten into Hawaii, had a huge breakthrough and calls him and leaves him a message overnight saying, I'm so sorry. I love you. I do want to marry you. And he got the message while he was in the tower that morning, going down in flames. And he said, I just have to let you know, thank you. I'm going to die, but you have given me everything in my last moments. And that's, that story of if we don't tell and share our message right now, then what else do we have? What else do we have? And all we have is right now.
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
My message would be just be true to yourself. Acknowledge your feelings, your thoughts. Don't always live other people's opinions and feelings and thoughts.
And own them.
How many of you feel like you are authentically true to yourself? You feel like you really, yeah, it can be, sometimes, right? It can be really hard in this world to stand up and be true. I'm a gay American woman who is an immigrant, who has tattoos and an 18-year-old daughter, and I stand on stage in front of thousands of people all over the world, and I'm very authentic about the fact. At most places, I tell people when you come in, I'll speak for 3 or 4 or 5 hours at a time when I do my events, and I say, I'm going to cuss on stage, and if you don't like it, you can leave the room because it is what it is. But it took me a really long time to be able to truly stand into my authenticity and to truly just be myself and say, you know what, but once I was able to, and this is one of those keys, and it's actually one of the 5 steps that I'll talk about is authentic alignment. Once you're finally in authentic alignment with yourself, that you no longer have to go out and search for what you're looking for. It just comes to you. It will come to you. It is this magnetic force that things just keep pulling to you. So let's see what's next on this slide. I have no idea. You're not creating a new you, you're releasing a hidden you. The process is one of self-discovery, the hidden you that wants to emerge. That's perfect because that's where that authentic self is we are emerging from our hidden self. So I think now we're going to get into the 5 steps, hopefully, because that's what I want to really talk about. And that's where the magic comes in, if we can see if we have. So I think this is not the right slide set. This is what's going on because I'm so confused right now with everything that I'm seeing. That's why I keep turning around. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, but this is part of one of the 5. So I'm not going to use the slides anymore. I normally don't, but my assistant put these together, but I think they set the wrong one because I do different talks. So 5 steps. Number 1 is the masterpiece. It is the masterpiece message. And so what exactly is that? How many of you have had a story in your life where you've been the victim? Where something happened to you, like, you had your heart broken, right. Everybody. There's no, you may not feel like the victim anymore. You may have learned a lesson from it, right? But at some point in your life, we have all been a victim of our, whether it was really being a victim or not. Well, in the masterpiece message, what I teach is how to create your masterpiece from your life story and your trauma. So whether it's you got your hair pulled at kindergarten and and that made you feel bad about yourself for your whole life, like one of my clients did. She actually had a level of anxiety in her life that followed her for 30 years because of an incident that happened when she was in kindergarten. And it's because she felt like the victim of this bullying. And so when you can take the stories of your life, and this is the process of how you do this, and whether you're sharing this and creating a business out of it, or whether you just want to use it in your life, is pick at least 5 pivotal points in your life, 5 places where things have happened, where you were at once the victim in the story, and how now, because your life is different, you can look back and say, okay, that was the lesson. There's a masterpiece message in that. There's a lesson for me to understand. There's a whole process that I take my clients through when we're creating their speeches. We do TED Talks. How many of you have heard of TED? You know the TED, yeah. So I teach them, we create TED Talks for them. I create the keynote speeches, and I teach them this process of how to create a masterpiece message out of their stories and their trauma. So like yesterday, I had a client on the phone, and her boyfriend nearly killed her, detached her retina, broke her wrist, all of these really, really horrible things in this. And I asked her last night, because we're creating her speeches for her, I said, so tell me, what is the masterpiece? What's the lesson here for you, your hero's journey? And she said, I wasn't living a life. She said, it was the biggest wake-up call that I ever experienced to be able to have that happen. She says, I was half dead and just floating through life, achieving, trying to be a perfectionist, trying to, make sure that everything looked perfect on the outside. And she said, because that happened, I'm now living a life that I love and that I've dreamed of, because it broke me down so much that I had to learn how to trust myself and believe in myself again. And so she's got a huge masterpiece message. And then part of it, when we learned when she was talking about that piece, is it took her back to when she was a child, and her mother used to always tell her, oh, you need to lose a little weight, or don't eat all that food, or all this. Being a mother, they're coming from love. Of course, the mother was doing it because she loved her child, not because it would, as children, of course, we think that it's some other thing. But we realize everything comes from love. So then she was able to make a connection back into that pivotal point in her life. And so we started picking apart her life. And she was a fitness and figure competitor, one of the top in the United States and in the world for many years. And that was another piece that showed up in her perfectionism. So we took that piece of her story. And so there's all these different pieces that you can put together. And so what is she doing? She's starting out, and she's going to be speaking at battered women's shelters. and she's going to be speaking at and helping with drug detention centers and small places like that as a way to give back. So it doesn't have to be that you're building a business around it, but she's also a high level in a corporate MLM where it's a very health wellness, and so she's taking that to learn how to create a business out of the speaking, but she's also doing it to give back. And that's where, really seeing those pieces and putting those things together. So what is your masterpiece? Start to really think about those pieces of your life that have been pivotal, that you may have felt like the victim in, that are really, when you look at it, places where you can say, oh, this is for me the transformation, this is what happens. The next one is alignment. So you have the masterpiece message and you have alignment, authentic alignment. And when I first started talking about alignment with my clients, at first I was like, it's got to be aligned with your audience. Like, your audience is in the crowd. Are you aligned with who they are? And as I started growing in my business and learning, I really realized that first, it's the alignment within yourself that you must have before you can have alignment with the audience or with anyone else. And so it's connecting in so deep into who you are and what is it that you value. Because if you're not in alignment with your own values and you're trying to create a business or you're trying to help others or you're just trying to share your message, it's going to feel off. People are going to know, people are going to understand that there's something not quite right. And so many times we live by other people's values instead of our own. Like, how many of you want to have it all, right? Have it all. But what is your all? It's not mine. Your all is different than mine, but somehow, especially with the women entrepreneurs that I work with, they want to have it all of their person that's over there, that's on the Facebook, that's posting every day, that's saying that their life is fantastic and great, and right? But when in value and alignment, when that really comes in, it's not really what you want because it's not in alignment with your values. My values, my number one value is family. So in 2014, I did my first conference. I brought Dr. John DeMartini in as my keynote. I brought in 15 speakers from all over the world to South Florida. And after the conference ended, I came out way in the negative. Your first conference is just going to happen. I mean, I didn't know that at the time. I wish I had. And what happened was I went into a deep depression for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks after that, and I'm journaling and I'm writing and I had to dip into the 401k to pay bills, and I couldn't even pay my rent. I mean, I had literally just devastated all of my finances to have put this conference on. And as I sat there, I said, why, it's just money. Why am I so upset? And I realized because as much as I had helped everybody and I was getting emails from people, my life has changed and stuff, the thing that happened was I couldn't take care of my family. And that was my value. My value was my family. So I wasn't in alignment because I'm trying to make money and I'm trying to do all this stuff. And yes, I'm helping change people's lives, but the number one value that I had was family, and I had put my family in jeopardy. And so I had to come into my own alignment and realization with that and say, okay, family's number one for me. So if that's number one, what do I have to do in my life and in my business to be in alignment with that core value first? And I started working on that. And then I had to look at the other core values I have, which are like adventure and travel and helping people, and those things fall in line after that. So authentic alignment with your values is so, so very important. The third piece is the G, which is gratitude. But how many of you have heard of the gratitude practice? Let's, say 3 things you're grateful for every day and stuff. Yeah, that's great, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what I call gratitude through trauma. So in 1994, I was raped. It was a brutal rape. I was locked in a garage, and I was locked in. And when I left and I got out, I spent the next 6 months. I was a senior in high school, and so I spent the next 6 months. I didn't go to school. I was top of my class. I was graduating with honors. I had every single scholarship that there was. I was supposed to go to MIT. Top of everything. And I couldn't go back to school. So I sat in my coach's office, and I would just sit there and grade papers for the rest of the year, and I just turned in my homework, and I still graduated top of my class. And the first time I ever spoke on stage was at my own graduation, and I got a standing ovation. And so 7 years after that, I went back to my hometown to see my sister graduate. And at that time, 7 years later, after graduating summa cum laude from Ohio State, I was a drug dealer on drugs with an eating disorder and a 2-year-old child. was not in a good place in my life. And when I drove past that house, I was like, you know, putting up my finger, I was unhappy, I was mean, I was angry, and I was mad. Then in 2015, 13 years after that, my daughter had a high school track meet at my alma mater. And so I flew into Ohio to go to my daughter's track meet. And I drove back to my hometown again. So 13 years after that, 7 years later, so 20 years after the event. And I stopped in the middle of the road and I shut off the car key. I turned off the car. I looked at the house and I looked catty corner at the grocery store that my grandparents had home that I had worked at. And I started crying. I said, thank you. Thank you. Because of you and because of this, I created an international organization that helps me, helps women, helps other people. And I truly meant it. I sat there and I cried and I said, wow, the life that I have lived in 13 years, I had completely cleaned myself up. I had done, by 2015, I had already done 4 or 5 conferences. I'd already had over 1,000 clients, and I had already transformed lives all around the world. And it was because of that event was one of them, and the event from my childhood, I was molested when I was younger also, were pieces of my life that I now have so much gratitude for because it allowed me to create the transformation that I have and for me to do the work that I do in the world. So gratitude through trauma, gratitude through the crap is where I want you all to get to. And I actually have processes that I've created to help people actually figure out how to get to that, because sometimes it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And so that's the process that I created called intuitive intelligence that is based on neuroscience, psychology, quantum physics, and ancient wisdom traditions that works on healing this kind of, it works with anything, but I specifically use it for trauma. So gratitude through trauma, one of the most powerful things that you can do. Next is the I, which is impact. Your impact, I tell my clients that are entrepreneurs, I say your income equals your impact. The more impact you can make, the more global impact, the more you can impact the people in your lives, the more money you're going to make, plain and simple. I have a goal to reach 1 billion people in the world. So between me teaching, I have the Intuitive Intelligence Academy, we're training others how to use intuitive intelligence, teaching them how to go out there. We're teaching the masterpiece message, teaching people how to get on stage and share their message and do this work. So impact is one of the most important things you can do, and it's more important than anything else. The impact that you're creating in people's lives is what is going to change them and change you. For every single person that I've impacted, they've impacted me back. It's a two-way street. I do this work because I'm a junkie for it, because I'm getting as much as I'm giving. Every time I get to sit in front of somebody or stand on the stage and hear some messages, I get to have some of the most incredible things happen for me. Back in January, I was keynoting at a conference in New York City with Marianne Williamson. How many of you know Marianne Williamson, the spiritual guru? She's a best-selling author in the United States. Yeah, a little bit different crowd here. And it was one of the first times it was a business conference. So I never talked about my drugs or drug dealing or anything at a business conference. It's just not one of the things I did. For some reason, at that conference, I decided to talk about my drug situation. First woman that comes and sits down next to me, she's an entrepreneur. She's like, I need to get clean. I have a problem. There's always a reason for you to have impact, right? Who are you impacting? You don't know. With your message, your masterpiece, you could be talking to somebody on the street 1 minute and you could change their life forever. But you won't know that unless you're so clear about your message and who you are, that everyone you meet is going to be impacted in that way. I had a client that I worked with some 8 years ago. No, not 8 years ago, because it was about 6 years ago. And I only worked with him for a very short time. And he actually came to me when I was still in fitness. And it was like 2 weeks that we worked together. I ran into him in Miami Beach last summer. And he walks up to me and he's in Whole Foods. And he's like, hey, you remember me? Melissa. And I'm like, no, I have no idea. Who are you? He's like, you changed my life. He says, I've lost 80 pounds. Everything in my life has changed because of the short amount of time that I worked with you. Impact. That's what it's about. Like, how are you going to be able to impact other people's lives? When you can create a masterpiece message, when you can take your story and your trauma, create a process out of it, create a speech out of it, create a program, anything, whatever you do with it, or just talk to people and give back and in any kind of way, or just a friend. You may have a friend that needs to hear that one thing that changes their life forever. If you impact one person in your lifetime, that's all you need. And if you could do more than that, because that one person, guess what? They're going to impact someone else, and so it's a ripple effect, right? We're all rippling effect back and forth. So impact is so very important. And then the last piece is the C, which so it spells magic, is the consecrated process. And consecration means sacred. So, and consecration in the American way is like sacred for religious, but I'm not talking about religious sacredness. I'm talking about your own sacredness. Creating a consecrated process, something that is sacred to you, something that you believe in so much that you will go and you will not quit before you get to that 3 feet of gold. You're going to keep going and persisting until the end. In the end of 2015, after my last conference, my world blew apart. My staff, I had a staff of about 10. My partner was on my staff, and my sister both. Both of them ended up doing drugs at my conference that year. And obviously, I fired my sister, and I left my partner. And within about, from the end of 2015 and through the restructuring in 2016, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I thought I was going to lose my whole business. And the only thing that kept me going was the consecrated process. This process of intuitive intelligence and the masterpiece message were so sacred to me that I knew if I quit, that I would be missing out on the opportunity to reach thousands of people that needed this work. And so I restructured, I reworked things. I got a couple of new team members. I learned how to organize things better. I got a better money manager so I could figure out what I was doing wrong. And since then, I have been picked up, my processes have been picked up by some of the biggest trafficking organizations in the United States, one of the world's largest nutrition school, which is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I've started working with and talking to a couple of different celebrities. If I had quit when my business fell, I literally went 4 months with no income and literally thought I was going to be homeless again like I was in 2009. And if I had quit at that point and said, I'm done, I'm out, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be here today and to do that stuff. So, I gotta go. So there we go. Message alignment. So do you believe in magic now? So that's my story, and I want to thank you all so much for coming to share a little magic with me. And is there anybody have any questions? Oh, if you have questions, come see me afterwards, because I think that we've got to get going. Okay.
Thank you, Bhatia, so much. It was very informative. Now I call upon the next speaker. What is your name? Ananya, and your topic is?
It's basically about my experiences with the career selection process and how.
Okay, so she's going to talk about career selection process. Please come.
Oh, no, it's totally okay. I got it in my steps. Yeah, I just want to get my
We are starting with the next cover. Next cover. Next first speaker.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go, okay.
वैसे ही लेट हो चुका है आप लोग को बोलो ये मेहमान स्पीकर Can we just, while all of this is being done, can we have this set here and,
Yeah, maybe we can get your yeah, okay. Of course. We have a group picture with her. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Let's all come, let's have a group picture.
Please. Come and join.
And meanwhile, this is getting fixed, maybe we can also ask her questions. Questions after the group.
Fine, ladies.
Call the cameraman.
Yeah, I think he's
He's going.
we also need to call the camera for the on the next slide. So do we have more questions? Do we have any questions? Please feel free to ask us. While this is getting fixed.
चलो मैं उनको बात करता हूँ.
You were speaking about your last step.
भैया कहाँ पे हो?
Speak a little more about it. Yeah, so when you take the masterpiece message and you turn it into a process, so what I did with the intuitive intelligence is I took all of the steps of learning how I created my own healing and turned it actually into a 12-step process that, and also with the masterpiece message, turned it into a process that I can now teach others how to use so that they can do the same thing for themselves. So when you have something that's that sacred, if you can create a process out of it, and that makes it teachable, so then therefore if it's teachable, then you don't always have to be the one doing it. You can have, yes, you leave behind a legacy. Exactly. Yeah. That's in the end, we have to leave something behind, so if we can find a way to do that, that's the most important thing. Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
About 6-7 Hi, so I'm Ananya Kapoor. I'm a student, and I'll be talking about my experiences with the career selection process, especially in India, and my suggestions as to how we can change it. So let me start with showing you a picture of my sister and I taken a few years ago. As you can see, someone at that stage had decided for me to take on the role of a doctor. My sister was lucky enough to get something more glamorous, Miss Universe. Yes, in many cases, the career selection process can be as random as this. Each year, when I moved into the next grade, there were celebrations and best wishes for the next session. But when I went from 9 to 10th, these celebrations and best wishes were just the beginning of the long monologues that were a bombarding concoction of suggestions, experiences, questions, and how to do it from my parents, grandparents, teachers, relatives, all of whom were desperate to give me their advice on what best I could do with my life. Some suggested me to follow my passion or look at what I love. Clarity of passion? At this age, you must be kidding me. So this led me to think that who is really qualified to choose my career? What is the process to go about it? Or well, is there any process? Can children actually decide the course of their lives at the age of 16? So let us look at the key stakeholders in this career selection process. Can I have the They would obviously want the best for you. But a lot of time, parents end up imposing their unfulfilled dreams on their children without taking into consideration their interests and skills. Schools. Can I have the next slide? Schools. So teachers in schools do not have enough time for each child individually. A no-brainer really. We have hundreds of students to deal with. And knowing the interests and hobbies of each child individually is a highly difficult task for them. Another important stakeholder is the society, whose future actually is the collective future of today's children. But this stakeholder is probably the least involved. And now, the most important stakeholder and the most affected party, the child herself. Children at this age tend to be more impulsive, their choices vary frequently, guided by the latest teenage fad. And we all know the shelf life of these fads. A decision with such profound consequences deserves careful study. How much time do young people spend planning it and considering options? Many give more thought to a new pair of shoes. For many, it was a decision they never knew they made. It happened by default. So what are the factors that we should consider in this evaluating process apart from academic criteria and other criteria which are measured by aptitude tests? So, can I have the next slide? The process requires multi-stakeholder input because as we saw, no one stakeholder is individually qualified to influence this decision. The process needs to be dynamic rather than based on evaluation at any one given point of time. For talent and passion cannot be truly measured at any one instant. Next slide, please. People and social skills. These are generally not evaluated, but are extremely important in today's day and age. For EQ is equally, if not more important than IQ. Creativity. So most of these tests do not look at creativity in depth. A successful coder or a business disruptor need as much creativity as a painter or a writer. But of course, the type of creativity differs. Next slide, please. Persistence. So this is almost always ignored. Can I have the next slide? So one such notable example is Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. So you can see his net worth. So when he was applying and looking for jobs, he applied to about 30 jobs and got rejected from all of them. He also wrote to Harvard 10 times and got rejected all of those times. Next slide. Curiosity. So curiosity quotient is a term put forth by author and journalist Thomas L. Friedman. Can I have the next slide? According to him, curiosity quotient and passion quotient can be greater than intelligence quotient. So as we saw, these are the factors that need to be taken into consideration. But now the question arises that how can we make career selection more accurate, more in line with what would lead to meaning and happiness in life? Can we look at the latest in technology for help? Big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence have already started transforming lives in various ways. So why not in helping us decide what we can do best? As you all may be knowing, big data is a science that computationally analyzes extremely large data sets to provide trends and patterns over years. Artificial intelligence uses structured and unstructured data to provide solutions to existing problems. Machine learning goes beyond artificial intelligence and uses the capability necessary for the machine to learn and adapt itself. Models like IBM Watson's Personality Insight use big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. They can uncover a person's personality, needs, and values based on any text written by that person. All of his help was not possible earlier, but so were self-driving cars and self-learning diagnostic systems. If we have all the help possible, then why can't this process be made more accurate? Let us look at a modest version of what form it can take. Inputs of intelligence can be obtained from academic sources, problem-solving abilities. Creativity can be evaluated through lateral thinking exercises. People skills can be gauged through social skills as well as teamwork abilities. All these data sets can be collected over several years to remove source bias, if any. We can also collect data from smartphones, smartwatches, social media sites, and probably in the future from the Internet of Things. As it evolves, this data set can collect information of various students across various stages of their career and life cycle. This big data set derived from broad and deep data cohorts, both from online and offline sources, can help us choose a career that is most suitable for us. But then here's the key. All this science can only help you decide and not decide on your behalf. We need to let career selection be a journey. We do not need to make it a big test or evaluation, which is a burden on young minds. We need to let the children go out and explore the world by taking on multiple internships in every high school year. For this will provide them with the experience and help them test waters without the burden of finality. We need to provide children with the support they need as they try to find their feet, accepting their success and failures with equal measure, letting them be driven by passion and desire, by doing what brings happiness to their lives. Because then, and only then, will they be able to make a meaningful impact for themselves, the society, and the world at large. As Steve Jobs once said, and I quote, "The only way to do well is to love what you do. If you haven't yet found it, keep looking. Don't settle." Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya. This was amazing information that you gave us. I would now like to call upon the next speaker. Who's the next speaker? Our next speaker is Taylor Tucker, and her topic is Finding the purpose as millennium leader. Okay. Okay. So I call upon her to talk on this topic. Please come. Hi everyone, thank you so much for introducing me. Next, she sets up the PowerPoint. Okay. Well, hello, my name is Taylor Tucker. As you can see, I am a student. I'm a Gates Millennium Scholar. I'm a poet, African American woman, and I'm an industrial and systems engineering student. I'm going to make sure I get everything in. And so those are just a few of the titles that I wear. But most meaningfully for this session, I'm a millennial. And so why does that matter to you all? Well, millennials are the largest generation, well, they will be, for working people in the coming years. And so that's very important for all of us to consider in thinking about work conditions in the future. We are the leaders, and the future is in our hands. So as leaders, in this space, we live in a time of technology where we have so many distractions and where the focus of our leadership can be questioned as millennials. And so today, I'll give you all some guiding principles on how I've been able to find my purpose and how I believe most millennials seek to find theirs as well. So purpose. I'll begin by defining it. It is the mission that you can only execute here on Earth. So I'll give you 3 main points that I'll talk about today. The first point is purpose can change over time. The second is do not limit it. And the last being use every tool available to find it. And so those 3 things I'll go in more depth throughout this presentation. So the first one, it can change, and that's okay. And that's something that I've noticed in my journey. You go to the next slide. So as you see, as she pulls up these pictures, these are different experiences that I've had over my professional development. I'm 22 years old, but I've been doing, can you go back? Go back one more. Thank you. Yes, but I've been doing a lot of different things to find my purpose. As you can see, can you go back one more slide? Just stay on the, stay on the left side. Thank you. As you can see, all the different experiences that I've had to shape what I define as my purpose today. So at one point, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I wanted to be a dancer. I found technology in my internship with IBM last summer, and then I was interested in the industry of music and entertainment. My experience with Spotify. You can see my different university choices up there. University of Illinois and North Carolina A&T State University. So I've been doing a lot of different things to figure out the person that I am and where I really belong and what I really am truly called to do on this earth. And so I believe this is something that many millennials have in common as we have access to so many different programs to figure out our talents. And so to further back up the fact that our purpose can change, you can see Pepsi-Cola's logo as it has changed over the years, but each logo has fit the time. And that's how you should also think of your purpose, because you have a specific purpose for each season of your life. Second point, do not limit it. This is a picture of LeBron James. He's a major basketball player in the United States, and he has huge successes. But he also is a partner, or I should say, chief executive officer of this entertainment company where he produces television, movies, and things of that nature that really fuel some of his other passions that are outside of basketball. Now that's very unconventional, but it's his purpose in this time in his life. And so by not limiting his purpose, he's been able to make millions off of this Spring Hill Entertainment Company, even though he's also still a basketball player. And last point, use every available tool to find your purpose. As millennials, we have access to so much technology, and I want to give you all a personal example of how I've used technology to leverage my talents. I'm using Facebook, and that's how I stand before you today. I'm a Gates Millennium Scholar, and one day I just friend requested random people on the Gates Millennium Scholars Facebook page. And one of those people that I friend requested was Dr. Harbeen Aurora. And she read my profile and invited me to come speak for this conference today. And so that is how I've been able to find my purpose as a speaker and to travel abroad. This is my first time out of the United States. And so you never know where it can come from. And using the tool of Facebook has helped me. And this just shows the interconnectivity of technology. And another example of how I've been able to find my purpose is as a writer on LinkedIn. And so I've really built up my profile. As you can see, I have 2,075 followers on LinkedIn. And so that really grows my network, virtual network. And through these connections, I've been able to set up times to talk to people on the phone, learn more about them, how we could help each other, how we could grow together. You can go next. I've also published articles on LinkedIn. So one of my articles is an open thank you letter to Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates. And this article gained a lot of attention and really gave me more confidence in writing more publicly and publishing my articles. And so as you can see here, it garnered 5,234 views. 5,234 views. And so this is just a way to find, for me at least, to see that, wow, I should give this writing thing more of a chance. And it really helped me figure out my purpose more. And this is through using a mode of technology. So last point to close out, how to be sure that it's your purpose. Any obstacle between you and it will be hurdled. And that's something that happened for me here today. There were so many things as far as cost and just being able to get here I was nervous about, and I was able to overcome that and come to India out of the country for the first time via sponsors and scholarships. And then also, you may become obsessed with it. If it's your purpose, it may encompass your entire being because you can't stop thinking of it because it really connects to you and who you are. And lastly, you're the best person for the job. What's for you is for you and will always be for you. And when it is your purpose, you'll know that no one else can fulfill the roles like you.
Can we get two photos?
Oh, no, we have one more panel. So. Oh yeah, that was just my contact information.
Yeah, please come over, Regina. And the topic is again finding the true purpose. Good afternoon. I am Regina Robinson of Regina Robinson Enterprises, and I am an award-winning global speaker. And today's topic is Millennials Finding Their Purpose, which is truly an amazing opportunity because so many of our millennials are preparing for every level of their education, not only getting out of high school, but advancing to college, and then from college straight into their career. But there are steps along the way that they miss in that actual stage of progress. And so I want to share 3 very key points to help millennials finding their true purpose. And the first point is that what we need to ensure is that our millennials make sure that they know that opportunity is not given, but opportunity is created. And so when they go off to college, it's important for them to not just start, but to finish. And that's not meaning start college and then finish by graduating college, but I mean there's a process in between from start to finish. And as they're in that process, there's a time where they need to understand that they must see beyond today. And in see beyond today, they need to actually go out and do internships, understand that their net worth is in their network. They need to understand that meeting their professors and gaining relationships is key. And that also being able to go out and study abroad and visit other countries will help them truly find their purpose. And then by building their relationships with professors, building relationships and doing research and internships in companies like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn. Those are all companies who are looking for millennials to understand that opportunities are not given, but they are created. And my second point for millennials to find their true purpose is the resilience to see their own potential. See, we have to make sure our students understand their potential. But what they need to most importantly realize is that how bad do you want it? Because how much are you willing to give than the person that is next to you? There are millions of millennials. Everyone wants a career, everyone wants next level, and everyone wants a spot at a college or university. Everyone wants a spot at a great Fortune 500 company or to start and create their own business. So we have to make sure our students understand the resilience to see their own full potential as millennials. And what does that mean for them to see their full potential? Understand their worth, know their value, and know what opportunities are available to them. And then third, last but not least, is to never give up on themselves. They have to understand that there are times where they're going to encounter failure. We as adults understand that, right? So we need to make sure millennials are well aware that there will be times where they will fail. But in your failure is where they will learn who they are the most. That's where they will grow. That's where they will stretch. And that's where they will be able to become the woman or young man that they are. And so in their failure, I have a person who I love, Les Brown, which is a motivational renowned speaker. And he says, when you fall and fail, as long as you fall on your back and you can look up, surely you can get back up. So we need to make sure our millennials understand that life is going to throw them some curveballs. But what they need to understand is that the failure is not a stop sign. In fact, it's just a detour. They must decide, will they create it as a detour or will they stop and remain? But as long as they can see possibilities on the other side of that failure, then they will be able to find their true purpose in life. And one other thing for college students is, I know for me, when I was in college, I changed my major several times because I wanted to find out what truly I was passionate about. And as I began to take classes, I realized that. And so changing your major and really exploring your career is not a bad thing. It allows you to be really sure about what it is you want to do in life. And so being able to explore different areas by interning, studying abroad, and making sure you are becoming an opportunist to network with everyone possible, because in your network is where your net worth will be. That means you get to actually deal and rub arms with people who could possibly be your next job opportunity. But you have to first be willing to speak up, let everyone know that you're involved and you're looking, like the young lady said on LinkedIn. She created a profile that allows her to be visible to people she might not have been visible to before. But that's all in being available to put yourself in position yourself before people who can allow you to elevate into the level that you are looking for. So we need to, again, for millennials finding their true purpose, know it's not going to be easy, but what you have to decide today is, will you be willing to put in the work and stay the course? Thank you. We want to just open it up for questions for any of the three panelists, if any questions or comments. If not, okay.
So regarding finding the true purpose, so how does one really understand or rather set out to finding that true purpose?
I believe that in finding your true purpose, you have to discover what you're passionate about. A lot of times when you get ready to prepare for college, everyone is saying, major in this, major in that, because there's a lot of money in that field of study. But I tell kids all the time, because I run a global college planning services company, and what happens is you can choose a college based off of the fact that it makes money, or a major based off the fact of how much it pays. But if you're not passionate about it, you will do 4 years of book and textbook learning, and then when you get out, you'll wind up doing a whole other career that is not what you actually went to school for. So really exploring your passion, that's why interning at different areas in different companies and organizations, studying abroad, exploring different avenues of what it is that is of interest to you will lead you to your purpose. Discovering your why. When every day when you wake up, you want to be excited about why you woke up today and why you're doing what you're doing, because then 9 times out of 10, you'll be fulfilled and you'll be able to do it and give it 100% every time.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else for questions? Thank you guys so much for coming to this session, and thank you for joining us at the WEF Women Economic Forum on Millennials Finding Their True Passion.
Thank you so much, Regina. And can we have the speakers here on stage, please? Regina, Taylor, and we have Ananya. Thank you so much, lovely ladies, for this session and telling us about the selection process and going about finding the true purpose.
Sorry.
also have everybody else here for a group picture?
मेरे में फोटो वाला कोई फोटो नहीं है.
We have a photographer for this? Yes, yes. Come on, take a picture. I want to take a picture.
So we all the time felt one notch above. And it went on for a long while. I was a housemaster, I was with the boys all the time. I have only a son. So you can imagine the way I thought at that point in time. Then I moved to Army Public School, Darsha in Shimla Hills as a principal. And there we had both girls and boys on the same campus. And that's where I how the girls are shaped better than the boys. I thought then about the opening that they used to say,